Feeling inspired by hosts Ron and Tyler to work on your health? The MovieBuffs Podcast is brought to you by Time to Train Fitness, your home for on-demand workouts for every level of fitness. Exercise with amazing certified instructors that want you to push through any barriers. At Time to Train Fitness, you'll find quality workouts across 6 class formats, including indoor cycling, HIIT, bar, yoga, strength training, and dance cardio. Stream brand new classes releasing every week in our 450 plus on-demand workout library. Use the link in the description to view all of the membership options and to start a free 5-day trial. Get ready to press play on your next workout.
Hey listeners, host Tyler Valencia here. Before we get to the episode, I want to tell you about a product I wear every day and has been a game changer for my health. The Boso Performance Insoles. The Boso line of insoles are recommended for waking up the feet when standing at work, enhancing foot awareness, and increasing foot stimulation. I personally wear the Duo insoles, which offer the highest level of stimulation, and I can't say enough positive things about them. I used to have foot pain after sitting at my desk, working away all day, and will make getting ready to work out a process and a half. Using these insoles has helped me, and if you want to give them a try, head to the link in the description and then come back to share your feedback with us.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 21/episode 1 of the MovieBuffs Podcast, the strongest podcast in the world about movies. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Ron Jam, joined as always by my non-friendly, city-dwelling El Tigre. Now, El Tigre, I think it's safe to say that the boys are back in town.
They are.
They're back.
Technically, they are not in town, but they are back.
They are back. We are not in the same place that we've ever been recording this podcast. We are states apart, but we are back in the proverbial podcast town.
In the podcast town.
Yes. How's it going today?
It's going. It's definitely going as we get back into the groove of movie podcasting. This will be fun. I know we took some time off between our last episode, and I can't tell you what happened to those episodes. It's something that with getting this one back and up and running, I went back to look and I can't find them. They're gone. They're in the space. They're just out.
Everybody know the band broke up. We had a big feud. We had a falling out. Our kids don't speak to each other. But we figured it out and we're back together and we're ready to do this. And neither of us have children. So it was weird that they were feuding.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking.
I'm excited to get into it. You want to get warmed up?
Let's warm it up.
We got to warm up. I just hit a front double bicep, but we're not on camera, so it does not matter.
Not one bit.
Not even a little bit. All right. So you want to get started with our industry news?
Industry news. One that I think that you're going to like and one that is probably on the front of everybody's minds as there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff coming out and one we can joke about. And I feel bad saying that because I know people like Tom Holland as Spider-Man these days, but I saw that he wants his name in the running for James Bond. What do you think about that, Ronald?
You know what? I like Tom Holland. He's a very charming young man and very handsome guy, very fit, very capable. Mm-hmm. He's also very small. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, he's like 25, but he does still look like a 18-year-old. So maybe he will be in the running because by the time he looks old enough to be James Bond, he'll probably be 40.
What about acting chops? I mean, I meant that in a serious question, despite my laughing.
Acting-wise, I mean, I've never seen him be bad in a role.
You've seen him in other movies, and you can say that with a straight face.
Have I seen other movies? I've seen Infinity War. I've seen
non-Marvel, non-Spider-Man roles.
I saw the trailers for Cherry, and it looked very good.
Yeah, you can't be serious when you're saying that.
I saw the trailers, man. It looked good. He looked like he was very serious in that movie.
I thought that was a joke. I thought it was a comedy. But it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was a super serious movie. That being said, though, have you ever seen a James Bond movie and been like, wow, this really required some heavy acting chops, or is it mostly big punches?
I'm just going to say, because I know you're not the biggest fan, saying that I know you've only seen 2 of the Daniel Craig ones.
That's a lie. That's a lie. I've seen 1 1/4.
That was one of the big things why Daniel Craig was chosen, that he had acting chops prior to getting the role. I know that was very controversial at the time because people didn't see him as being James Bond. But
yeah, the British media tore him. They call him James Blonde.
They tore him up.
They notoriously called him a coward for when they announced him as James Bond. They rolled up on the River Thames, and he was on this big boat doing a little action thing to like reveal this our casting. And because it's a real life river and he was on studio time, he had to wear a life vest.
You saw that too on that behind the scenes?
Yeah, so people were like, he's a coward. James Bond would never wear a life vest. He would smoke a cigar the whole time.
Yes, because he's a real person.
He's so real.
Same question now, because I actually screenshot this one because I know I was going to be asking you this. What about Ryan Reynolds?
For what?
Somebody asked him if he wanted to be the next James Bond.
Don't you have to be English of some sort?
People ask actors anything these days. And when I screenshotted this, I was like, I don't know if this is a joke. Are they being serious? But it was by the Times.
Well, I get, Pierce Brosnan is Irish. So, I mean, Irish from wherever Ryan Reynolds is from. They're both not from England. But no, I don't think he would make a good James Bond.
You have to basically ask yourself, do you think that Ryan Reynolds can act? And I think that despite his roles that he plays these days, and I know that he's a fan favorite of a lot of people, but come on, it's not like he's being put in Academy Award winning roles these days.
Yet. I think he's one of those people who kind of found his niche as he got older, because he was like, I've tried having range. I've tried doing all kinds of roles. And no disrespect to Ryan Reynolds, obviously, he's got an incredible amount of money for a reason. People like to watch him. And I think he figured out people like to watch him, not necessarily watch him act. So he's like, I'll just do me, man. I'm having a good time with it. You're all paying for it.
I'm going to play the same role in every single movie that I do. And you don't watch it.
People go see him. So good on you, mate.
Yeah, I can say that I have not seen a lot of his latest movies because it's the same thing. But do I like it? I will admit it that I do like his older, what are they called, rom-coms with...
I love Definitely Maybe. One of my go-to romantic comedies.
Definitely Maybe several times. Definitely love that one. But I'm going to keep moving here because I don't want to get too far away from the whole Spider-Man stuff because
Gotcha.
we do have an episode coming up in the future that we're going to talk all Spider-Man, really dive into
everything
it.
Spider-Man. We're talking the cartoon. We're talking the Spider-Man toy that I used to keep next to my bed that one day disappeared. And was it a ghost? I don't know. We're going to talk about the movies. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about everything. We're talking about the Spider-Man pajamas Tyler's wearing right now.
Yeah, I put them on just for this recording.
Cut that little promo.
It is going to be the promo, but back to my question. I just want to know quickly, what is your favorite Spider-Man trailer theory that came out as of late?
I do like to note that you put the caveat of quickly, aka telling me to shut up and stay on point, and I'm going to not do that, obviously. My favorite theory, I don't know if you noticed this, it's not really a spoiler because it's in the trailer and everyone's talking about it, but Electro has an arc reactor on his suit. So the current Electro suit on some of the crossbody harnesses he's wearing as part of his uniform. I don't know, what do you call it? But he has a miniature arc reactor on the right shoulder. So people are saying that, Tony Stark's at it again. He's been dead for 5 years still, or I guess, about 5 years now. He's creating villains. No, wait, he died in the current timeline, right? He died after the bump. But yeah, he's been dead and he's still creating the villains, helping them out. Because we also see that Otto Octavius's arms absorb some of the nanotech off of the Iron Spider suit. Gotta love Tony Stark, man. He cannot stop creating his own problems.
Yeah. One that I feel like was the most popular video after the latest trailer came out was I think it was an overseas trailer where they did show the Lizard getting basically smashed in the face from some hidden figure in the trailer.
And you know who I think it is?
Who?
And I think it's the only reasonable answer.
What's that?
It's little tiny Ant-Man. Or it's an invisible magic wall.
Either one. But,
those are the only answers.
Well, I only saw those types of YouTube videos coming out right after. And we all know that Marvel likes to basically play tricks in their trailers. And I know that you have your own Marvel trailer theory that you probably will share, despite if I say don't share it or do share it. And
I'm not doing either. I will do neither.
That's the best way to get you to say what I want after. I just tell you not to do it because I know that you want to so badly.
I don't know. You might have to. I have so many theories. I'm just a theoretical machine, so you might have to Remind me what theory it is.
The funny thing is that I know that you're being serious right now. So you have way too many crazy theories that you write them all in your journal at night and then you forget all of them. But
I don't write them in my journal. I tattoo them on my palms, but because my palms are so sweaty, the ink never sets.
Hey, sweaty palms are serious, man. But there's your theory about how Marvel gives away the whole movie.
I said Sony does that. Sony and DC loves doing that. But I guess there's somebody behind the scenes was reporting that Sony does want to show all of the reveals. That I guess I don't want to talk about too much here because maybe some people haven't heard it yet and they can be surprised. But Marvel's like, no, please God, don't give away every single thing. But I think they'll do with the big reveals kind of what they did with the spoiler alert for Endgame in 3, 2, 1, the old movie. But the Endgame reveal of Cap with the hammer, how 3 weeks after the movie came out and the initial surge died down, they put that shot in the trailers, and people who maybe didn't care were like, "Oh, that looks cool. Check it out." I think they're going to wait and do a similar tactic with this new Spider-Man movie.
And then all of a sudden, just have all the Spider-Mans in that shot.
All of a sudden, freaking Carnage is going to be in it. Freaking Wolverine is in it.
Let's get now to something fun, something different that we're throwing in because if you didn't know that the name of our podcast, there's a reason for it. We're not just making
MovieBuffs.
Not only are we insanely buff, if you didn't know, but we both work in the fitness industry. Hence the name MovieBuffs. I know, mind-blowing. So
we talk about movies and we're buff.
We just do bicep curls. No biggie.
Doing some right now.
Today, we're going to do Ron's 5 favorite workout movies. Now, this is a hard one because not only are there that many movies where maybe there's a personal trainer in them, so you really got to dig deep for them. So we kind of expanded it out just a tad bit. So maybe there's some fitness. So we're a little loose in terms of
a little loosey-goosey
with health, fitness, and being in a movie because we joked about that we can maybe name like 3. So we had to do some research to make it 5.
Took a little deep diving. And then even off of the criterion you gave me, I was like, I'm going to get a little looser and a little goosier with this.
Now I don't even want to know what maybe the 4th and the 5th ones are.
Oh, you want to know. You want to know. I when Tyler suggested this, I thought it was a really cool way to not only bridge the gap of the reason for our name and our 2 interests between the fitness and the movies, but also to help you, the audience, get to know us a little better. So I guess here we go. Tyler, you want to intro me?
Ron, kick us off. Number 1, what is your first favorite workout movie?
Wait, is it? Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 so I can end with.
Go the reverse way. Favorite. Number 5, what is it?
Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
Number 5.
Okay.
I would say the movie Heavyweights from 1990 ? With Benjamin Stiller and a bunch of other people.
I'm feeling skinny, Tony. Yes, I'd give you 2 thumbs up for that one. I thought you were going to swing for the fences and miss, literally, because there wasn't enough movies. But I think a lot of people are going to like that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun. If you haven't seen it, it's fun. It's on Disney Plus. There's a lot of child endangerment in there, a lot of reckless negligence, and when it comes to fitness, there's nothing we love more than a little reckless negligence.
Before we move to the next one, I have to say that's a prime example of one. We love that movie, but there's so many things in that movie that you'd be like, you did that in movies? You just can't get away with that stuff these days. But classic
90s. All right, coming in at number 4. You like them do my own echoes. And this counts. It's a documentary. I should have wrote down the year, but it's available on Netflix. It's Bigger, Faster, Stronger.
Actually, just watch that. Why do you like it?
Chris Bell, brother of the world famous Mark Smelly Bell, owner of Super Gym.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a film, if you haven't seen it, it's called Bigger, Faster, Stronger, something about the American way. I should have wrote it down, but you know what? I didn't. I'm loose goose over here.
With the names. You didn't share what it's about?
Yes. So the premise of the film is just interrogating the use of performance-enhancing drugs, not only in sport, but also to kind of fuel the physiques of some of our greatest action heroes, and how the hulking physiques of both the athletes and the movie stars of the 80s kind of affected how he grew up and how it affected his life. It's really interesting. They have it's quite informative as well for people that don't know anything about anabolic steroid use outside of just hearing people talk about it on the news. It's informative. I find it really interesting. It's got some cool guest stars in it. And I think it's worth giving a shot.
Yes. There's one piece that I actually want to dive into, and it's kind of a little vent here because, and I feel bad because it's not a joke. I'm not, which is, we got to make sure I preface that I'm not joking here about this.
All right, I'm serious now.
Because mental health is very serious. There's a part in it where they interview a gentleman that his son had passed away, and this gentleman is all about, and I don't like phrasing like that, but he's all about blaming steroids for that, which the movie points out that the son was seeing a therapist, was on medication, and was having mental issues, but yet this individual would do nothing but blame steroids for his passing, which nobody in no capacity is losing a life. Is that a funny moment or anything along those that nature? But at this point in the documentary, he's trying to show him, hey, here's some of the pieces. Here's what happened to your son, and you still think it's because of steroids? And I believe he says 100%, and that's a part in the documentary where you're just like, wait, what? Like, you're literally, when you hear all the evidence, but yet that's what he wants to point to. You're just kind of shaking your head. But there's a lot of points in that documentary where you're just kind of like, wait, what? Like, we were told one thing, but it's another thing. But very serious is mental health. If you ever are in need of help or anything of that nature, make sure you do get it. There's nothing wrong. If you're a female, male, nothing wrong with getting help. Just putting that out there. Continue on. Back to the jokes.
Way to bring the audience up. I feel like the energy level is at 10 right now. I'm just so but no, seriously, getting help is important. That's why I want to talk about our sponsor today, BetterHelp. I'm just kidding. We don't have a sponsor, but if we did, that would have been an excellent segue. Number 3, and this is a movie that I think got a lot of people, especially in the 70s and 80s, into lifting weights. It is starring, I don't know how to say this guy's name. A lot of people haven't heard of him. His name is Arnold. I'm just kidding. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno in the 1976 Mr. Olympia Championship. That is Pumping Iron. This is a documentary, as I said, from the 70s, and it goes in. You will not want to do anything but bench after you watch this bad boy.
I know that I've watched it recently, I think on Amazon Prime. I think that's where I saw it. But I think it's also on YouTube for free. Both, actually. I know that the other one that you mentioned, the other documentary, is also on YouTube for free. Yeah. But I think it's on Amazon Prime, Pumping Iron.
And Pumping Iron actually has a series that's going on still called Generation Iron. It's a series of films. And it does give you decent insight into, what it takes to be a physique athlete. And it's a lot harder than just taking steroids like people assume it to be. You kind of have to do your whole life around this thing. And it's interesting. It's entertaining, especially the Arnold one, because he's Arnold. So he's quite enthralling, and it makes you want to go out and do some damn bicep curls.
I didn't know those were connected.
Yeah, it's kind of the sequel.
You made that up.
No, that's what it's the series. I don't know if it's officially licensed the same way, but it's the spiritual sequel.
Say what you want. I think it's made up. Go ahead.
I will say what I want. Glubba, 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 glub, glub. That's a Kanye West sample. Anybody who's heard Remote Control knows what I'm talking about. All right. So, Tyler, intro me for number 4.
You mean number 2?
God dang. Yep. Now back to number 2. So, again, I got Lucy and I got Goosey. This is not a movie, but in fact, it is a very long movie series, starting with the Academy Award nominee for Best Original Screenplay in 1974. That is Rocky.
There you go.
Again, Rocky all but invented the training montage. If you watch a Rocky movie and don't start doing some sort of exercise, it's probably because you fell asleep. Because if you're awake, you're going to want to do it. Rocky inspired more guys, probably second only to Bruce Lee, to think they can fight just from watching a televisual piece of media. You can't fight from watching Rocky, but I tell you what, it does make you want to.
Favorite scene in all the Rockies? Go.
Mine?
Yes.
There's only one answer, and it's when Sylvester Stallone is in the snow when he's got his beard on, and he's holding that little log, and he's in the snow, and he just cranking his body around, just destroying his lumbar spine, going ham. And then they cut over to Dolph, the Professor Lundgren, in a hot mesh tank top, and he's punching the machine. And you're like, huh, what a nerd.
Punching the machine, but also getting injected like crazy.
Dude, and only both of them are on steroids. That's the crazy part. And then Sylvester Stallone, I don't remember what year, but he was arrested going into Australia, I believe, with just a suitcase full of different various anabolic steroids. And I believe he had like his own line. I know he had a line of supplements called In-Stone supplements. And I think one of the things he did was kind of branch off into manipulating his pharmacology with them. So that's interesting.
I will say that seeing that our background is in exercise science, I feel like that scene in general was just a good way to look at how not to do certain exercises. Behind the back, anything? No, not for you.
Not for a boxer, at least. I mean, if you're just worried about flexibility and you're very flexible and you do it. But if you're a boxer and your job is to keep those shoulders healthy, here's a little pro tip. Don't press like 500 pounds behind the neck because you tear a rotator cuff and you lose out on all the money from your boxing game. Mm-hmm. That's what they're called, right?
I was wondering what scene you were going to say is your favorite, but I dig it. The music, the running in the snow, running away from the Russians, all that kind of stuff really makes for a good mix.
And I guess number 2 of my most favorite has to be Rocky 3 when him and Apollo are in those hot half tank tops and the little short shorts and they're running through the water and they just like half of the montage is them hugging.
And jacked as crap.
You're just jacked, tan, sweaty, and hugging. There's not much better than that.
Love it.
I can't wait for the day that one of these days I'm going to time it out and just be fully just shredded up on Halloween, just diet super hard going in so I can wear that outfit. The Sly Stallone, yellow dolphin shorts, half shirt, high socks, Nike Cortezes with a red swoosh, slicked back hair, sloppy steaks, chicken spaghetti at Ciccolini's, all of it.
What the
Don't worry about it. There's one person who might get what I'm talking about. Anyway, so coming in at number one. Now there was a movie that kind of started this that we talked about that I think you thought might be on the list, and that movie is Pain and Gain, starring
watched it today.
Dwayne the Johnson and Marcus Wahlberg and Samuel Falcon America. But that movie is not on this list.
What?
And I'll tell you why. Because I got number one, not a movie, but they've had 12 movies or 13, maybe 17. I don't know at this point. They've had multiple series. They got cosplay. I was one of the characters this year for Halloween, and that's Dragon Ball Z. Or Dragon Ball series.
How does that have to do with
Nothing got more people into fitness than watching Goku do push-ups in extra gravity, dude. All they do is train and talk about getting stronger. That's literally 97% of the show. 3% is doing stuff. 97% is talking about how to get stronger. Sure, none of the exercises make sense. They're just doing one finger upside down push-ups in outer space. But when they start screaming and their hair changes color, boy, if I don't get up and start throwing kicks in my living room. Woo! So that's number one. Sorry about that if I blew out everyone's speakers with my woo. Just get so into it.
I think that is a prime example of where Ron and I will differ. There's no way that I would have ever had a Dragon Ball Z,
dude,
anything near my list.
I have a Ultimate Gohan figure right in front of me.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
The vest even comes off for when he powers up. His shirt pops off. It goes, pow. Oh, so I'm hyped thinking about it. I might watch a little Dragon Ball Z and go hit a quick leg workout.
Now we can't even make any jokes about Pain and Gain because you didn't even put it on your list. Way to go.
Okay. And then honorary mention, Pain and Gain. Go ahead.
Low-key, Anthony Mackie. Very funny in that movie. Just have to put that out there.
He was pretty good in that movie. Dwayne the Johnson Rockster. That's probably one of his biggest ranged roles. You know, he actually does some non-The Rock stuff, which I thought was interesting in that movie for sure.
A little bit of the Drogos?
Yeah, well, yeah. But I mean, like, even attitude-wise, like, they let him be a little bit of a weirdo, and he doesn't have to be the wisecracking, always winning lead in the movie, you know?
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean there. Okay.
Like, he even gets one of his toes blown off in a cocaine deal. Like, The Rock wouldn't do that in almost any of his movies. Funny story. I heard, I don't have know the veracity of the report, but I think it was an Entertainment Weekly or something like that. But someone was saying that in their contracts, both Christopher Vincent, aka Vincent Diesel, and Dwayne the Johnson had contractually obligated to get hit X amount of times, and they have to come out dead even. So they associated points with like, okay, if I get kicked in the chest, it's 3 points, but if I punch you in the face, it's 2. So if you kick me twice, I got to punch you 3 times, so we even out.
Someone would have to like count
that sounds
this out
insane,
and do like a YouTube video for me to believe it.
That sounds crazy, but you think about it. Every time they fight in those movies, they come to a stalemate.
Because I know there's more stuff that's coming out right now. Like I feel like I've seen YouTube videos about some like proposition that Vin Diesel's agent gave The Rock's people about being in the next Fast and the Furious. And despite how much I liked the earlier Fast and the Furious, I would say the latter half, the 5 through 10, have just not really stuck with me. And
I think after 7, it kind of 7 for me hit hard because it was the tribute to Paul Walker. So I
can't
more
even
weight
tell you
behind
what's
it.
happening in 7.
Dude, number 7 was the one. Oh, sorry, my mic cut out. Number 7 was the one where they drove the cars and they stole some stuff.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. But I mean, I know that you did some illegal stuff when you watched the last one. Not talking about drugs.
What?
I'm talking about Ron sending me videos of the movie while he's watching it.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I videotaped it because in number 10, spoiler alert, everybody, and no disrespect to all the people who worked on this movie. I know how hard it is to make a movie. But they wrote in a scene where Ludacris, Christopher Bridges, and Tyrese Gibson, take a Pontiac Fiero and they strap jetpacks to it and they fly it into outer space. And they wear scuba suits that don't fit right, so they duct tape them shut, and they just go to outer space to blow up a satellite in a Pontiac Fiero. So I had to videotape it.
Well, they
I
need to
watch
stop
it before bed sometimes.
I was actually, the only good thing about these latest rumors is they're all talking about finishing the series. That no more. They should have just stopped after I think 6, because I loved Fast 5. Fast 5's great,
That was
but
really good.
just no more. Please, just no more. We're done. You can't do any more. I don't know how and why you make any more of those, but
You remember that one scene where Vin Diesel's fighting Jason Statham on a car park and it cracks and he goes, "That's the thing about the streets or a street fight. The street always wins." And then he stomps and then the car park crashes in half. And it's as it collapses, it swallows Jason Statham, who gets covered in rubble. And then in the next movie, he's just okay.
He's fine.
It's hilarious too, because like, hey, how do you? That's how I felt watching it. But wait, one last thing before we move on.
Okay.
Speaking of the propositions from Vincent Diesel to Rock to return, did you see the Instagram post he made where he very, very, very poorly photoshopped himself bigger than the Rock in the picture?
I didn't. I'm not a fan of Vin Diesel, so I do not follow him. And the part about that's even more upsetting is that I heard that there were fans of his that were like trying to like egg it on, like, "Go, come on, The Rock, come on board for this." It's like
it was such a condescending thing. He said, "Hey, my little brother Dwayne." I was like, "Wait, I think you guys are the same age."
What a piece!
And he's bigger than you. But it's funny because he photoshopped himself bigger, which kind of lends credence to the thing I was talking about. They have to go stalemate. But he photoshopped it. I think he might have done it himself because like he didn't like get a good enough quality picture. So in the Photoshop, like The Rock has regular pixel amount, and then on Vin Diesel, the pixels are very visible because he just blew up a small picture.
I just pulled it up.
It's insane, right?
As someone that's a millionaire, why would you do that?
Just have a guy do it for you.
Oh boy, this is what happens when you hire your like younger brother that's not trained in Photoshop to do something for you, and probably you pay him money and you say, "Hey, like I need this photo done. Like, go get it done." And this is what happens. Boom.
It looks a lot like something you'd Photoshop while on the toilet. Like, I got between wipes to get this Photoshop job done.
Fiverr would have just crushed this for them and they would be super happy, but no.
All right, so that's enough Vin Diesel talk. Tune in next week on our weekly podcast called Going Diesel. Filling her up with Diesel, the Diesel podcast, talking about Vin Diesel and all things Diesel. All right, so I think we're warmed up enough, but what's our working set today? What are we getting fit on?
So if you tuned in, we are now getting to our working set. We have Ghostbusters and Last Night in Soho. Two movies, recent movies that came out. We both saw them pretty recently. And Ron, give us a little background on Ghostbusters.
So Ghostbusters, it's a brand new franchise, a unique idea, something that's never been done before. It is directed by Jason Reitman, and it is starring Paul Rudd and some other people whose names I don't have in front of me. One of them's Finn Wolfhard, that you'll know from Stranger Things. Some say the strangest things of all. You know, being a teenager, it's nothing stranger than that. Am I right, guys? It's also starring McKenna Grace as Phoebe. And I can't find the woman who played the mother. Her name's
Carrie Coon. She's also in Avengers.
Carrie Coon. She's also in Avengers, I've heard. But yeah, there's a lot of great actors in this movie. I won't give away some of them until our spoiler section. But yes, as I said, Ghostbusters is the sequel to the 1983 classic of the same name. In this movie, they don't blatantly say it, but it seems like they're ignoring the events of Ghostbusters 2. And obviously Ghostbusters 2016 is in a different universe. So this movie, we pick up 37 at the time it's supposed to come out, years later, when the daughter of Egon Spangler receives note that her estranged father passed away and left her a house in the middle of nowhere. So she takes her and her kids out of their city dwelling area where she has become derelict as due to a lack of payment on her rent. She moves into her father's house and ghostliness incurs. A lot of ghostliness goes on. A little ghosty ghost. Oh, and it's directed by Jason Reitman, son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original.
Let me give you the current tomato score and audience score, and you tell me which one you agree with. Tomato score, 62%. Audience score, 95%.
I would put it, I agree more with the audience score. I would maybe put it, I'd give it like an 80 out of 100 if I were giving it that kind of guess, but we all know that's not how tomato meter works. For those of you who aren't in the loop, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate site. So the score you're getting is a percentage of positive or negative reviews. So if something has a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes, that means that 30% of its reviews were positive. The other 70% were negative. So that's not people saying that it's 95% of the world's greatest movie. That's just 95% of the people who ranked it said it's a good movie. So I would put it, I agree it's a good movie.
Okay.
How do you feel about it, Tigre?
Well, I'm going to start at the beginning with the director. I'm not going to lie. When I first saw it, and this probably just gives you a little insight into where I am in my life, is that I thought there's a little bit of nepotism, seeing that.
Well, yeah.
Jason Reitman is the director of it, and then you go look at the movies he's directed, and you're like, how the hell did he get new Ghostbusters series? And you're like, oh, wait, his dad directed them, and his dad's a producer on them. And I'm not going to lie, I've never even seen any of the other movies that he's done, and they're all...
Oh, they mean you've never seen the other Ghostbusters?
No, the other movies that Jason Reitman's done. They're seriously, I feel like you go on Netflix, you go on any of those things, like Amazon Prime, and you're scrolling, like, who makes these movies? Like, when did this movie come out? Yeah, Jason Reitman. He does a lot of those movies, in my opinion. Other than, I'll give him Up in the Air. I do like Up in the Air. I'll give him that.
I didn't know that was him.
Yeah,
and a quick side note on the Reitman family. The eldest daughter, Catherine Reitman, you might know as, oh my God, I forgot her name. No. We all know her from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. She's Maureen Ponderosa with the dead tooth.
Don't know. I don't watch that show, so I don't know. But yes.
It's Maureen Ponderosa.
I'll agree. This was hard when I walked out of it. I feel like there's a couple scenes in it, and I know that we haven't done the whole, like going through it fully, going through spoilers, but I feel like there's a couple scenes that kind of scratch your head and like, did that really need to be in it? But I thought it was, I definitely think it's better than the tomato score, the 62%. I'd give it, if I was giving it a letter grade, a C plus, B minus, in that range. I think that's where I put it. Yeah, around there. I think that's...
Yeah, what number did I say? Like 85 out of 100? So we're about in the same score, right?
Yeah, we're in the same general vicinity there with it. I think the there was a lot of things I feel like they had to do to make the fan base happy for it. And they definitely did that. They definitely pulled the story. It definitely was what I think they needed to do. If you look at the difference between the all-female led cast and this one, you're taking an older character and continuing the story on from it and building from it and incorporating a lot of, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like during the movie, I felt like I heard people like, oh yes, like just the little trinket things like the Twinkies or I'm trying to think of some of the other little ones, but like all those little things that the fan base just loves. They threw all those in there to make sure that nobody would be upset. And even having Paul Rudd in it, I feel like nobody hates Paul Rudd. So you got to have him there to make sure that people like it.
I got to say, speaking of throwing in the like old Easter eggs or nods to the first movie, that was one of the things that kind of gave me pause. With the teaser trailer initially, I was like, oh, that looks fun. I like these people. I like the director. And little known tidbit about the Ghostbusters series is that the way it works is that the main Ghostbusters, the main actors have to sign off on any script that's made in the Ghostbusters franchise. So that's kind of why they take so long in between them. That's why there was such a long time between 1 and 2. And that's why it ended up with Jason Reitman, because Ivan and Murray and Aykroyd have to all sign off. And also the late Harold Ramis had to. I don't know what Ernie Hudson's involvement was on the sign-offs, but anyhow. But I really thought the moment in the second trailer that I saw when Paul Rudd sees all the Marshmallow Men really gave me pause. And I was like, is it going to be all member berries? Because the only reason, anybody who doesn't remember, the only reason there is a Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man at the end of the original Ghostbusters is because they say that Gozer is going to bring to life this, deity of destruction based off of their fear or whatever's in their mind. So they all decide to go mind blank, and all of a sudden they hear the footsteps and they look over to, I believe it's Dan Aykroyd's character, to Ray Stans and go, what was that? And he said, sorry, it just popped into my head. And he happened to be thinking of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So the only reason it wasn't the bad guy's choice, it only existed because it came out of Dan Aykroyd's subconscious. So for it to pop up again doesn't make any sense. It's not like a calling card of the bad guy. So that gave me pause. But seeing the movie, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, let's get into a couple spoilers. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, this is that point where you stop listening or even just fast forward to if you've seen Last Night in Soho. This is the part where you do that.
Yes.
And I honestly, getting into the parts where I feel like they really pulled it together, I was a little worried. The ending. So as they're getting to the climax, they're outside the house, and you're like, okay, is this going to be just like the beginning? The generator doesn't work, and they're not able to capture the bad guy. And then all of a sudden, the three alive actors come out, and ever since I heard how like Bill Murray was a D-bag to what's her name on Charlie's Angels, he got in like a big fight with what's her name, Lucy Liu. Yeah, I just look at Bill Murray differently now, and I know that's probably not a well thought of view of him, but I just thought like some of his jokes weren't hitting, and I was like, okay, like how is this movie to end? How's it going to end? But I think they really pulled on the heartstrings there with the ghost coming back and them being able to work together to eliminate the bad guy, which, I mean, how were they going to do it? I just thought it was just to be like the opening scene. So they did good that. And I think it was a good tribute to Harold Ramis and all those pieces. I mean, the hugging, him touching his grandkids' hair, all that kind of stuff. Great. Makes you really, it's a tearjerker in those aspects. But there were some of those pieces there. Like I did feel like that climax was a little long.
For me, I thought the pacing on the first third and the last was good. The climax, I kind of liked the way it kind of gave you a couple chances, like, oh, they're going to do it, and they didn't, for a little suspense. I thought that middle third of the movie where they're kind of like, oh, they're going on dates with the teenagers and the mom's going on the date and the kids are going around. And then it takes till the end of the movie for any of them to find out that there's ghosts. Like, like you don't talk to each other when you go to bed in the same house. The mom's not like, or on the date with Paul Rudd, she's not like, hey, so when you were hanging out with my kids, anything weird happened? He's like, oh yeah, we released a demon. Like you wouldn't bring that up. And I just thought it kind of dragged in the middle. But
Yeah.
I kind of am on the opposite side of the spectrum from you. When Murray and the other guy showed up, I was like, "Oh, this is fun." I thought they had their chemistry was still there, and it was like really fun to see them. And I liked that they had them be old men, and they just kind of fell down. They're like, "Ah, crap! I really thought that was going to work."
Yeah.
And the thing I really like the inclusion of Ramis, but I thought maybe they lingered a little too long, where it felt kind of obviously it's uncanny. We know he's not alive to have shot this. But I felt like if they were a little bit more sparing with the shots of his face, like even to have, where he's interacting with the grandkids, like you said, but to have his face in it too, it just kind of, for me, that disconnect of it being fully CGI guy was there when you're kind of thinking about his real life passing more than the moment for me. So I thought maybe if they had done like a cutaway of, just like his shoulder and the head, kind of make it a little more subtle. But other than that, I really enjoyed the ending.
Yeah. It comes together. Like I was, to clarify, I was a little worried. Like I just didn't know where they were going to go with it. I like the little Harry Potter movement where they all join streams and the ghost comes to help, all that kind of stuff. The pieces earlier on, I actually was a little different with the beginning. I thought the pacing was a little too quick. I was worried that they weren't going to get enough character development inside of it. Like they're all of a sudden in the apartment, you see that they're getting evicted, and all of a sudden, boom, they're on the road. And like, who are these people? And I thought it was moving a little quick, but they do build all that in. Like, do you really get to know much about the mom? And I know I think she's one of the main characters, but you don't really get to know much about her throughout the movie. And she's the daughter of his. So like, you're like, what is her involvement? But I will say that some of the positives, though, are the acting by the kids. I think that the kid actors were great.
Ken and Grace was very impressive. And the fact that I didn't know it was her, and she's been in movies for so long to be only like 15 years old. Also, the song on the closing credits was also her. I said also too many times. She really impressed me. Speaking of actors and ages, though, I've been waiting to get this one in.
Go ahead.
Tyler, how old do you think the original Ghostbusters are?
How old do I think they are in real life right now?
How old do you think Aykroyd is?
Well, it's not kind of fair. Like I have that pulled up like right now as we're like talking about this.
Okay, who do you think's oldest? Who do you think looks 15 years older than everybody else?
Bill Murray?
Bill Murray is 4 years younger than Ernie Hudson.
Wow.
Ernie Hudson, by the way, to skip to the end again.
Wow.
To have Ernie Hudson be the wealthy one who's going in to carry on the Ghostbusters legacy works great because he looks like a middle-aged man in the 80s, and he looks exactly the same now. And he's 75 years old.
Yeah, he definitely looks
in the picture I pulled up, he's also jacked.
No, I'm looking at it on IMDb.
He's got his tricep popping.
Mega jacked.
He's flexing out like nobody's business, man.
Overall, definitely a movie that I would say go see if you. And side note of it, my wife Sonia did not see any of the originals prior to. Well, we'll have to fix that, but she got it. She understood what the movies were about. She didn't get any of the Easter egg things, but she enjoyed it. It's an enjoyable movie for the whole family. I'd put it in that category. Anybody can see it.
I think that really speaks to the quality of the movie, though, too, especially for one of these movies that's like a continuation of a franchise that without any prior knowledge, the movie stood on its own. So that's a good endorsement of it.
Moving on and getting to our second movie of the episode now. And this is going to be an interesting one because I've been waiting to hear what Ron thought about both these movies. And I was kind of surprised that he liked Ghostbusters. I didn't know if Ron had seen any of the Ghostbusters prior. And this one's going to be an interesting one. I've been waiting for, what has it been, like a week and a half now? No. You just saw these last week. So I've been waiting for a couple days to hear what Ron thought about these. And it's Last Night in Soho. With this movie, it's done by Edgar Wright, and you're probably thinking, what movie is he talking about? I think it's on Amazon Prime, or you can get it on demand now. But
I think I rented it through YouTube for $18, something like that.
One of the more disappointing things about this movie, in my opinion, and I'm not getting into anything about it, is that it wasn't really advertised. If you are a fan of Baby Driver, any of the movies that he did with Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, talking Shaun of the Dead, my favorite, and probably one that people, I'm trying to think of if they can see it on anywhere. anywhere else. But there's The World's End, Shaun of the Dead,
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen Hot Fuzz. But overall,
My
quality
personal favorite
director.
is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
I didn't mention that because I don't like the movie.
Because you suck.
But Anya Taylor-Joy.
Thomasin McKenzie.
I tried to find what else she was in, but
She was in Jojo Rabbit.
That's it. But like other than that, premise of the movie, quick version of it is that young girl goes to London to go to school. She wants to be a designer, but she's also, they hint at the beginning that there was some traumatic experience, and it's not giving away anything, but that her mom passed away, and she has some type of she's visions, and so now she's moving to the city to go to school. And the way that the commercial, the one trailer that I saw, I had to look it up prior to on YouTube, that she's going to help solve a crime, something along those lines. I think that's what they give away in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Going into it though, that was the only trailer I saw. I think that I had started going to the movies maybe 2 months prior to that, and I didn't see one trailer for that. Did you see anything in the theaters?
No, and I was telling you this off air that one of the things I was most excited about is to go see a movie without having any information about it. I knew the name, I knew who was in it, and I didn't know anything else. I didn't see one trailer. I saw a couple posters, and I'm an Edgar Wright fan. I like most of his work. Yeah, or I guess almost all of his work. I haven't seen At World's End, to be fair. I've always wanted to, haven't got around to it. But yeah, I was excited to go in to see this movie with absolutely no idea what was going to happen. So
I'm going to give the score, Rotten Tomato score, tomato meter 76, audience score 89%. Where do you lie?
This hurts me. No disrespect to anybody who worked on the film. Again, I understand it's a labor of love. It takes a lot of work, but I was deeply disappointed in this movie. I would probably give it, as far as quality of production, it's an A. Obviously, it's well shot, well lit. The music's great. The acting's great. Just the overall feel I got from the movie and the enjoyment I got, I'd give it like a 40, honestly.
Wow. Yeah. I want to go that low for my letter grade, my percentage. I'm still confused on it. I honestly think that a lot of guys that might go into the male audience going into it that liked Baby Driver, that likes his style of comedy, that you're going to be a little disappointed because it's more geared towards a feminine audience. That's just my opinion. Like I feel like it tries to go into the horror mystery, but you might go into it thinking like it's going to be like some action-packed horror, potentially like crime solving with an Edgar Wright twist, and you kind of leave thinking, what was that movie? Wait, what was it even about?
I think one of the things that you just say, just want to get it out right now, but the Edgar Wright twist kind of wasn't there, other than there's one shot in a ballroom and there's some good music cues. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it didn't feel like an Edgar Wright movie at all. The dialogue wasn't like that punchy kind of fun dialogue we're used to. The visuals weren't the choppy, fun, fast, frenetic visuals. And it'd be one thing if that wasn't there in service to the story being better. Mm-hmm. But at some points, I feel like that could have helped the story not drag on in the middle and make it a little more entertaining, especially when stuff started to kind of fall apart logically and fall into more of just tropey horror stuff where like no one would do that. They only do that in horror movies.
Yeah.
That's what really got me, because I expected, if it wasn't an Edgar Wright movie, like, that was fun. It was fine. But because we all know how high he can soar, I thought he really dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Not just dropped the ball, but just missed a trick on not having more Edgar Wright isms to kind of elevate the movie.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm going to give one positive before we go into more spoilers here. And I think this is what a lot of Edgar Wright fans, along with all the things you just mentioned there, is that his ability to move the camera. You watch Baby Driver, where he puts the camera, the way that he storytells, the way that he moves that camera is beautiful. I mean, he really gets the theme of that movie, moving to London. There's a lot of living in London music, that style, and the way that he positions it behind neon lights and even the lighting while she's in her room. All these things, you get that feel of what he's trying to go for. You're like, wow, like that's pretty cool. It's not overly, I think some directors, in my opinion, try to be too cute with where they put the camera. And you're just like, what? Why do we have this view? You get what they're trying to accomplish in it. And that, I think that's a huge positive. But now going into some spoilers here, and exactly along the lines that you were saying with the middle of the movie, when she's starting to investigate all these murders, and all of a sudden the visions that she's having, and these, I don't know what you want to call them, ghosts coming into the library and chasing her, you just start to scratch your head like, are we watching the same movie from the beginning? That's honestly what I thought. I was like,
what lost me? She's like, they said that she's dealt with, the ghost of her mother, and like she's seen ghosts her whole life. So she, of all people, should know that running around with scissors trying to stab them is not going to do anything. And in fact, you're going to probably stab a person. And it's just like, what the hell's going on?
She moves into this apartment that's off campus because she was having a bad experience.
Can we just talk about how fucking annoying those roommates were? And I'm so mad that nothing happened to them. They just kept being assholes.
You can say that.
I was like, this girl is unreasonably horrible. Like, there's no reason to have her in this movie. She didn't have to be that annoying, It
was like a posh spice that spoke and that you don't like. And essentially that's what her roommate was, that she had these issues. So she found this off-campus place, and all of a sudden she moves into it, and when she goes to sleep for the first time, she has these visions that she's going around through London, going to this club, but she's not her. And the murder of this individual in the room that she lives in doesn't happen for a little bit, but she starts loving it. She starts getting into it. She starts changing her look because of the person that she becomes when she goes to sleep. And then boom, it happens. There appears to be a murder in her room, and she thinks that the person that she's been trying to make herself look like is murdered by this person that she believes she's also encountering out her job in real life.
I thought it was dirty how they did General Zod at the end. Poor guy. I don't know, man. It lost me. Like I said, it wasn't even the twists and turns that did get a little ridiculous as far as making any sense. But it was just the actions this girl took. Like, if she hadn't dealt with this before. And it's like, what are you doing, my dude? And then her boyfriend, I was like, these people have only ever spoken like 3 times. I'd be like, hey, girl, I'm not really interested anymore, but just don't like die, because she was going through it. I don't know what his interest was. When she's freaking out at the nightclub and in class and trying to stab her roommate. I'm like, I don't really want to date anymore, but if you want to go see a psychiatric specialist, I think that would be best for everybody.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's tough because of the reasons that we pointed out in the beginning, that we liked the director. He wanted to be good, wanted him to have another killer movie that people would be like, oh, did you go see Last Night in Soho? But you're just like, oh, it was a bummer. It wasn't that good.
And speaking of nonsensical things, this is a big spoiler for the end, but it didn't make any sense. So the old woman, right? Can I say who it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's her landlady. It turns out the ghost that she was seeing wasn't in fact the ghost of the girl that she thought she was inhabiting, but it was visions based off all the Johns that this woman was murdering in the course of her sex work. So anyway, this old woman attacks and stabs the boyfriend of the main character, Thomasin McKenzie's boyfriend, and then tries to chase her up the stairs and kill her. Meanwhile, the house gets set on fire, and they tussle for a little bit, which I don't know how she can just beat up this old lady, because the lady's old as shit. And then at the last second, she hears the cops coming, and the older woman goes, I'm not going back to prison. Tries to slit her own throat. Thomasin McKenzie stops her, and then the lady goes, what are you doing here? Go save your boyfriend. And then just sits down on the bed and burns to death. But it's like, hey, what changed your mind? You just stabbed that guy to kill him. Why do you want her to go save him? And just because the cops are coming, why would that stop her from wanting to kill this girl that she was trying to kill? Like, she's gonna die anyway, and her whole goal was to kill this girl. So there's like there's no rhyme or reason for her to just give up on the attack and then say, hey, go save that guy I tried to kill. Just do that for me. Get out of here. Didn't like it. That really upset me. That's all. But I'm done. I'm leaving. Logging off.
But then they don't even like say what if anything happened. Like, that was like one of the things I walked like, wait, did the old woman, did they like come out with like a story that she's been killing all these people this whole time? Did they find the bodies that were like she hid in the walls of the whole like building that.
How did nobody
she owned?
smell that? I guess they said the thing about garlic, but still.
I guess like it's the garlic, but like, I mean, you don't even like know like that. I feel like they just go to like a fashion show and like
that felt so Disney original movie to me. When they cut to her fashion show and they're like, oh my God. And then for some reason at the end where the ghost of the old lady is young again and winks at her, I'm like, what is this supposed to mean? This feels like the end of Susie Q.
It's a good one.
You're getting me heated, man. I'm getting sweaty.
All too heated. Well, overall, I feel bad saying it, but I would not give this a go see it recommendation.
No.
If it comes on FX, which it might, go ahead, watch it then, but don't have too high of expectations. That's my recommendation there. You?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. If you can watch it for streaming for free, it's not, like I said, it's not a waste of your time. It's a well-made movie. It's just frustrating because we know what this director's capable of. And even the premise and everything and the actors are all capable of making this great. And it just kind of fumbles it a little bit for me. But yeah, I would say watch it on streaming.
Well, let's keep it moving. Keep the train moving here. We're going to get to something new. We've not done this. And to help us get to our cool down, we're not at our cool down yet, but we're going to get to our WTF moment of the week. And as you can probably guess, with this being a movie review podcast, watch a lot of movies and watch a lot of movies over and over that I've seen. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen some of my movies. I am one of those people that I will just put something on and oftentimes I've already seen it like 10 times, but just put it on and whatever. And so this is something new and I'm excited to hear Ron's reaction to this. So I know that this is a favorite of Ron's in terms of movies that he likes, the style of movies that he likes, but Transporter. First Transporter. You're a fan, right?
Ooh. Oh, yeah, dude. Obviously. Okay. When he has that fight and they're all oiled up.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you earlier, being shredded, getting sweaty, getting oily. What's better than that?
So that's not my WTF moment. My WTF moment comes from earlier. In the beginning of the movie, they are talking about how good French food is. Oh, the people move to this region for the food. It's so good. French, blah, blah, blah. French food, blah, blah, blah. So he saves this Asian girl from being, I don't know if she was being kidnapped, and takes her back to his house. And he sits her down at the table and he's like making food for her. And all of a sudden he makes up like this instant ramen and gives her some chopsticks. And I'm just like, what the hell? You guys are just talking about how French food is so good and you give this Asian woman some top ramen and noodles and then tell her to eat up? What the hell? Like, what's going on in this movie? I'm just looking at it like, what the hell? You couldn't do better in this? Like, give her some French beignets or something that is actually related to the region that you're in. You have to give her some top ramen because she's Asian? That's my WTF moment.
Well, maybe he was running low on funds because he didn't complete his job. Since he saved her, he didn't get the payment.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely it.
All right. You know what? We worked really hard today. We got warmed up. We worked so hard on our Ghostbusters and our Last Night in Soho. We got our WTF moment as our accessory work. And I think it's time to cool down and get a little stretch in. So the first thing we want to talk about with our cool down, let's talk about what are you seeing this week, T. Grizzly? And this is also for our listeners, a little preview of what we'll be talking about in the future.
Yes. Saturday, we are going to be seeing a advanced release. Feels so special saying it, but when I tell you what movie it is, you're not going to be like, oh, sweet. It's Sing 2 on Saturday.
Ooh, sweet.
If you are an AMC member, you probably have this available to you, but it comes out in December, but there's an early release on Saturday. And then on Friday, we're going to see House of Gucci, which I'm not too excited about. I feel like it's honestly another attempt by Ridley Scott to get an Oscar nom, but that's just my opinion on that.
Real quick, did you hear what he said about why the last Duel failed?
I did. Blaming millennials. Come on. The movie just looked dumb.
He said millennials like their phones, so they ain't go see my boring movie.
That's exactly it. Not that the movie looked boring as hell.
It's just like you gotta pick something that people might be interested in.
Maybe make better trailers. Maybe that's it. Make better trailers.
It looked gray and it looked like everyone was upset.
I can't give you that. What about you? What are you seeing?
We're gonna go see Encanto, and I think that's the only thing I have on my docket right now. I was telling Tyler this off the air that I don't know if the real people sound like that, but some of the accents that I've seen in the trailers for House of Gucci do sound like Super Mario Brothers. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I have on the docket.
What about workouts? What's on your workout docket for the week?
For this week, as some of you may or may not know, here in the States, we are celebrating Thanksgiving, a BS holiday about people from a different country showing up and stealing things that they do not own. But anywho, so I will be using a truncated workout schedule because we often use this time to go see family and friends. I also have multiple injuries because I do not rest. Okay. So this week I got lots of arms, lots of stretching, just getting my body right. Going to try to come back for a nice new training block in the beginning of December.
Coolio.
How about you, my friend?
I'm actually thinking about starting to lift some heavier weight. I have not been lifting heavy for the last month and a half, just kind of giving my body a rest. Haven't done really that too much on squats, not much, but I'm kind of missing it. So I think I'm going to start loading up some back squats and some deadlifts.
There you go. Nice, man. Thank you for watching the show. If you enjoy anything of what we said, go ahead and share this podcast with a friend. You'll find us on Spotify and iTunes and anywhere you get your podcasts. This should be up pretty soon. So check us out on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff at MovieBuffs Pod. And keep an eye on what we're doing next. Leave us comments. Engage if you want to hear me talk shit about anything in particular. I'll do it. I don't even care. But thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your patronage. And we will see you next week.
See you in the next one.